know in your heart of hearts you can't fuck with this. You knows that. Why I'm tripping, y'all knows that. Let's start talking, let's get into it. Whoa, hold up, what they talking about? I hear you. Matter of fact, fuck all that they talking about. All that yakety yak, wanna run they mouth. Machete clappity clap, oh goon run them out. Crossbow, show say arrow, hunt them down. Babaloo, why you clean off, it ain't nothing now. 30,000 in the air, my phone still on. Writing rhymes, earphones, with the kill on. Get the skill on, little homie, the real on. EI's getting the chill on, watching me get my meal on. Take a stand in the wreck, get my build on you. You disrespect the whole set and get your still on. Maduke if you can, get your bill on. Debit card swipe up, performance is getting tighter. I'm older and plus I'm not to the motion it. I sip on, most of y'all skip the protocol. Trip on forces and slip, bust your head. Train of thought wreck, you dead, didn't do what Joey Goon Goon said. Now it's cold red, skeptics is begging to get my heel on. Back like I never left, proper like a sweater vest. I'm the ancestors' favorite rapper, Megadeth. That's true. No guitars though, just a hard flow. That's true. Nicest piece on these beats as far as bars go. A Joshua Eli's on my chest, far as scars go. Stars go, the far go, stand and rock for photo ops. Bypass their own hood like they don't know the block. Faking culture shots like they forgot them struggles. All befuddled when that muzzle blast cats be like. Suffering succotaches, beats, concrete, street with sophistication. Repat nation, we deep, baby. Plus RBG certified, fly like the butter with the golden box cutter. Hello, yeah. She's so flirtatious, smile like the Nile, her booty so outrageous. Classic yet refreshing, just to know you is a blessing. Peach schnapps and the flukes, here's a toast to patience. Oh yeah, a closed mouth don't get fed. She came to bed and woke up with your moja on her head. I just wanna see the fam blossom. Inhibitions, I lost them, I'm feeling awesome. My shit. Oh man, Sundiata, I told you they weren't fucking with me, car.
You need to ask yourself that. Why do you eat food? You need to ask yourself, what is food? Because we got consumables, as acidic, dry, whatever you want to call it, and then we got alkaline, wet, real food. We got fake food and we got real food. Now, you growing up in this world, I don't know how old you is. If you my age, you 20, you 28, 29, we is the last ones to know what real is. These jits don't know what real is because they being raised on the fake. So they put the germ in the seed. Roundup ready. They put the germ in the seed. They got fake seeds. So I'm telling you, this is war. Yeah. This is fucking war. You got to learn the real, and you got to decipher from the fake because it's getting hard to tell. And that's my message.
Nice.
Welcome. BB48, BB Toomey, Kujiti Wala, Shea Lafiani. Welcome to another edition of the War Report with yours truly, Brother Oláyínká, right here on Do the Knowledge Radio. Welcome. We are glad to have you all with us, and we definitely think that we're going to have an interesting hour with our guest this evening. Before I do introduce our guest, our sister, I'm going to go through a little bit of house business and some particulars, as I always do. Firstly, I would like for everyone out there to support the War Report. As you can see, actually, it's not on the bottom of our ticket tonight, but please support the War Report, support this show, support all the great programming here at DTKR, Do the Knowledge Radio. You can support the War Report on Cash App, or should I say via Cash App, at $OBAGod7. That's once again $OBAGod7. There it is at the bottom of your ticket. Thank you, brother. My brother, Knowledge Born. Thank you once again. as well as support all the great programming here at DTKR, Do the Knowledge Radio, the place where knowledge is born. You can support via Cash App as well as at PayPal. At Cash App, you can support at $ Knowledge Born Allah. Once again, that is $ Knowledge Born Allah on Cash App. And on PayPal, you can support at paypal.me/Do the Knowledge Radio. Once again, that is paypal.me/Do the Knowledge Radio. If there's anyone who's interested in being a future guest on the War Report, you can email me via Yahoo at obawajumi_Olayínká@yahoo.com. That is spelled OBAWAJUMI_OWOLAFIA@yahoo.com. So if there's anyone interested, now you know I don't just have anybody on the show. You got to come from a cultural perspective. You have to come from a perspective of African sovereignty. You have to deal with these 4 major pillars. You have to deal with family development, nation building, sovereignty, righteous character, and morality. You have to come from those 4 aspects to be a guest on the War Report. So if anyone is interested, if you're doing anything in your community that is bringing about a change in the quality of life of African people, please email me at obawajumi_Oolafia@yahoo.com. As well as if there's anyone who wants to catch up on previous episodes of the War Report, go to Do the Knowledge Radio on Yahoo. Go to the Facebook page and subscribe and become a part of the Do the Knowledge Radio family. Once again, at www.yahoo.com/Do the Knowledge Radio to catch up on any episodes of the War Report, as well as all the great shows on Do the Knowledge Radio. Which now brings me to introduce our guest, my sister, the one and only, who is not a stranger to Do the Knowledge Radio and is definitely not a stranger to most Africans that are out and about, that have the opportunity to see this dynamic sister, this warrior sister who is on the front lines for African people out of the city of New York, just a dynamo, and is a political strategist who is always working in the best interest of African people, who's on the front lines, on ground zero. You always know she's going to be there. She is the host of Thorough Black Talk, which comes on every Thursday night at 8 p.m. My sister, let me introduce the one and only Sister Keisha. Once again, my sister, Sister Keisha Hopkins Forrester.
Yes.
Welcome to the War Report. It is a pleasure and an honor to have you, because I've asked Knowledge Born, look, I deal with meiotic balance here. We got to have the brothers and we got to have the sisters. Get me a warrior sister that I know that I have a lot of love and respect for, and that can hold her own. And who better than you, my big sister, Sister Keisha.
That's what's up. Thank you. I appreciate the kind words. Always, I'm an ally to Do the Knowledge Radio. I said to Brother Knowledge Born many years ago, whatever you do, I got your back. And I meant that, and I still mean that. So, if I ride with you, I ride with you all the way. So in this media game, we have to learn how to appreciate each other, support each other, and look out for each other, because it is us against everybody else.
That's right.
And we have to understand that philosophy. And understanding that philosophy, we will win. Trust me and believe that. We are winning now. That's why mainstream media or for what, those who call mainstream media, copy our talking points, watch our shows. And now you are beginning to hear the talking points in mainstream media. Some time ago, I did an expose on Thorough Black Talk where I played a recording from a vice president, one of the VPs at CNN, who clearly stated that they follow independent Black radio to know what's going on. So, we are in the forefront, but, as of late, there is a push for legislation to silence us. And so I've been doing some things on the political end and on the legal end to try to protect us all. Even the programs I don't agree with. There is something for everyone. But we have to understand to put our emotions in check and look out for each other. So that's my goal, to make sure, that the federal government and the FCC understands that it's hands off for us, So that's where I'm at with it right now.
As we actually want to stay right there because it's interesting. One of the things that I wanted to talk to you about was I'm fascinated. First of all, I watch Thorough Black Talk every Thursday at 8 p.m. I'm a regular. I watch a lot of the various different Black media shows that exist, whether it is Dr. Mayat with her program, whether it's there's so many. Brother Carlton Jones and his shows, both of his programs. I watch, as well as Brother Kalanji and Black Power Media, with his program. So I support everybody, what I'm saying? And especially if you're coming from a base, an African base, and you're speaking to our people and you're talking about some solutions to certain problems that we have as African people within our community. So I'm always going to continue to support that. An interesting thing with you is that what was your influences coming up out of New York for you to become the political strategist that you are, to deal with the politicians, to be on the streets with the people, and get some real concrete things in order, certain things established for our people in our neighborhoods and communities in the city of New York? What were your influences? How did you come up? Basically, what is your backstory, Sister Keisha?
Well, I started out in activism when I was 12 years of age. And some of my family members may say earlier than that. Just in the community that I lived in, I was very active because you have to remember, when I was a teenager, my early teens, I'm saying from 13 to 17, 18 years of age, this is the height of the crack era. And so we started what you would call tenant patrols in the buildings that we lived in, making sure that the tenants were protected, that there was no shenanigans going on. And this is, a 12-year-old girl, with the elders who asked me, to be a part of what they were doing. Not just that, but in the elementary school that I attended, which is Public School 67, better known as the Charles Dorsey School, which in the United States was the first African free school. There, I was a member of the patrol guards, and just being conducive with what was going on at that time in the community. Now, as I became, older in age, I found out about an organization called the United African Movement. And I think I was about maybe 18, 19 years old, something like that. One of the head of security for that organization lived in the same building that I lived in. And he knew that I was doing tenant patrol. And my mother would babysit his son while he would do security for the United African Movement. So whenever he came back, excuse me, he would bring me the programs to let me know, who the speakers were, what was going on. And he had asked me to come down, and check it out. So I did. And the first time, I think I was there to see Dr. Julia Hare, I think. And the place was packed. And I had never seen anything like that, where you had so many Black people. First of all, it was held in a theater in Brooklyn, the Slave Theater. And the theater was packed. You couldn't even walk up the street because there were people who on the street that were listening to speakers that was put outside because it was, not enough room to accommodate everyone. And so I started going to a couple of the forums and, privileged enough to listen to, at that time, direct, sit right in the front with, Dr. Ben and Dr. Clark. And you come in the door and have a conversation with Dr. Khalid Abdul Muhammad, and you go to the restroom down the hallway, there was Steve Coakley. So you got a conversation here. You know what I'm saying? So it was that institution. The United African Movement, they had built what you would call a collegiate and a political and legal conglomerate to deal with the issues that Black people were facing in New York City in the 80s and the early 90s at that time. It was founded out of actually the accusations of Miss Mealy accusing several Black young boys of rape in Central Park, better known as the Central Park case. And so from that, the United African Movement started to get involved legally, and then eventually politically with New York City. So that's pretty much where I came up under. And then, I had a lot of the great elders take me personally under their wing. So I went through a period of education for several years before anyone even knew who I was outside of Brooklyn. So starting and doing that, and then eventually staying with that organization and being active within that organization, and asked by the elders to become a significant person within that movement. And I was given responsibilities, and I just took hold to them and just went with it. And, some of the fights that I've been in, people wouldn't believe, but I'm still here. And we still moving and we still pushing. So that's, my blueprint of, my activism and getting behind the political machine, seeing it from the behind the curtain, if you will. Once you put your hat in the ring to run for an office, you see things behind the iron curtain that the average Joe cannot see. So, that's just, how I started out. And my mother was very, my mother had a 6th grade education.
Right.
But my mother was active in the community. Remember, this is the height of the crack era. So you had a lot of parents who were on crack, and my mom would help take care of their children. You understand? And then you would have people who were suffering, people who lost jobs and everything, and she would feed people. So my mother was always communal. So that's, where I get it from, to be communal with those around me. So that's just a synopsis, if you will, of who I am and where I came from.
Gotcha. Let me ask you this as well. It's always been fascinating to me because in hearing your story and hearing the impact of, first of all, who you were influenced by, the type of individuals that you came in contact with that raised your social consciousness about our people and the commitment we needed to make to our community. Very similar to my story and my mother, my father was a huge influence, but my mother supported everything my father taught us as young children, which led to us coming up in this particular movement. So let me ask you this from the standpoint of being an African woman, a Black woman. What do you personally see the role of in 2022, the African woman, the Black woman, in terms of our liberation struggle and movement? Whether you're a political strategist and you're dealing in the game of politics, or whether you out here just on ground zero on the streets, you know what I mean, helping to do what you can to improve the quality of life of our people. That may be a large question to ask, a big question to ask, but from your standpoint as an African woman, would you see the role in 2022 and beyond, as things are getting very, 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 very thick out here, as you and I both know, the role of African women in the liberation movement?
Wow, that is a big question. But let me see if I can chop it up a little bit. And if you will allow me to do so. First, politically, the role of the African woman must be one of community, leadership, and family, because it is those things that will nourish generations to come. And what I mean by that is, for example, myself. I'm going to use myself as an example. On the block that I live in, or the street that I live in, everybody knows who I am. I made that known the first day I moved on the street. I knocked on every door and introduced myself. And then becoming communal, with the people on the street. I rock out with everybody, whether they're Christian, Muslim, Buddhist, I don't care. It's Black first. So we have to get back to the institution of family, the institution of community. Because if we don't have that blueprint, everything else we're going to fail at. And that's the role of the Black woman. You have to raise the standard of who African people really are. Royalty comes through the woman, period. She's going to birth you. Royalty comes through the woman, period. Mm-hmm. And so if the family is broken, if the community is broken, there cannot be a nation that can stand, right? The family and the community is the nation, right? So women, Black women, we have to get back into the role of leadership, and history must record that. It's unfortunate that we live in a society that suppresses the greatness of women, in particular Black women. For an example, if you come to New York and you ask anybody about the United African Movement, right away they're going to tell you about Alton H. Maddox, who is one of the most brilliant legal minds that I have ever come across in my life, taught me everything that I know about the legal game, everything. However, United African Movement and Alton Maddox himself could not maintain without the women who were there. It was women who, like his queen, Leola Maddox, who made sure that Alton had everything that he needed so that he can be what he needed to be for the community, right? Everything that the United African Movement needed, she made sure that happened. You had people like Karen Mason, who was a critical tentacle within the United African Movement. Sister Martha, so many. Ollie McLean. So we have to record the greatness of the women so that it is appealing to younger women who are coming up after us. You have to make the movement sexy, period. Because we cannot get stuck in a euphoric idea of what Black manhood and Black womanhood is. We have to grab hold of what we see in front of us, which is madness, and then give it the blueprint. So, for example, my children, my son is in his 30s, my daughter is in her mid 20s. Both of them are very African centered in thought. So they can see and know how to behave accordingly. As first men and women, then as parents, then as members of community. You understand what I'm saying? That blueprint had to come from their parents. So as women, you have to take control of that. And don't let these talking points and stuff like that get to you. I know people talking about, women should be submissive and all this old kind of stuff. Let me tell you something. If I was all of that, I would be alone. My husband don't play them type of games. You understand? I give it how I get it. But he understands that everything that I do is for his best interest and ours and the family. So that's why, we are so cohesive. You understand? I know what he does for me and this family, period. And we understand that. Now, if you ask him, he's probably down in the basement somewhere. But anyway, if you ask him, he will tell you, my wife is the brains of this operation, period. If you understand that I have your best interests at heart, and that I am not someone who wants to see you suffer, then it's all hands off. And he will tell you, whatever my wife say, that's what it is. Whatever she said. You understand? Because he understands that dynamic. So we have to get back to that and not be afraid and not get caught up in these talking points and all this foolishness, this manosphere, womansphere stuff. I ain't got time for all of those shenanigans at all. And all of these people who are talking about all of this stuff, where your legacy and your relationships at?
Facts.
Where your legacy at? Show and prove. Because I got 2 marriage certificates with the same man in 2 different countries.
Facts.
So my legacy is clear. I don't have to, portray something that isn't, and I understand what the role of marriage, community, and womanhood is from my mother and my aunts and my uncles. I wear fedoras out of love and respect for my uncles and my grandfather. This is what they wore. So every time I have a fedora on, it's an homage to them. You understand? I carry the family on my back, period. And everybody in my family, mother side and father side, will tell you just that. So I didn't go
it's almost like the old African proverb that when you leave your home, you represent your family everywhere you go. You represent your family everywhere and anywhere you go, and anybody that you're around. You are a representative of your family. The ideas, the values, the folkways, the mores, each and everything that you were taught by your mother and father, your grandmother, your grandfather, you represent your family.
And even the greater family, you ask anybody. You can ask Brother Tad, you can ask Ashe, you can ask Blacksmith, you can ask people in Philly, go ask Empress Filet, all of them. They will tell you, you ain't never had no crazy talk about Keisha. Because you are my family. I represent you too.
Right.
You understand? So you're not gonna see me out here in these streets out of pocket, and that takes great discipline.
Yes,
I could be doing a whole lot of other things, trust me. But I'm not. It takes discipline.
Right.
I do have an understanding that I gotta leave here one day. What I'm gonna tell my mother and my grandmother? What I'm gonna tell my father?
That's right.
What I'm gonna tell them? So that's just what I've always carried, and I've been carrying myself like that for many, many years. People in the streets, they will tell you. I had a friend of mine who served about 30 years in prison. And when he came out, he said, Keisha, one of the things that I always admired about you, he said, you never did dirt to nobody, even when people was doing it to you. You never put no dirt on nobody. I said, because I have my way of handling things. And two, that's not going to benefit me. No, I like to get you with a smile on my face. Trust me. So to be out there throwing dirt, you see me coming. I don't want you to see me coming. But, and that's why I've gained so much respect from people in the street. Period. Just how I carry myself. So, it pays. It's a winning formula. So, do what you have to. Even my nieces and nephews and cousins, I got family members who are out there doing some crazy stuff right now. However, when they come across this threshold, they understand where they at. You understand? So, just be about it. Just be about it. Don't be afraid to put that left foot forward and move ahead.
What was interesting to me was I did not know who Sister Keisha was, who Sister K Fighter was, but about 2 years ago, when the planning of the 100 Years in Whirlwind conference took place back in August of 2020, I had heard about the Sister Keisha. I'm like, oh man, yeah, man, she bad, man, she really bad. She's out of New York. She lives in Brooklyn. She is just really dynamite. And she's really going to have a tremendous presentation. I think that's what put you on my radar. And it was your presentation that was just so on point, just very, very well done, talking about the history of Garvey, of the Right Excellent Honorable Marcus Messiah Garvey. Let me get that right. And we had a little bit of an after party after it was done, because it was done online, and you really spoke from your heart on how important it was for you and how much of an honor it was for you, as well as myself, to be a part of such a tremendous conference, because it was history. It had never been done before. We're celebrating the 100 years of the red, black, and green, of the African liberation flag that was developed by the UNIA ACL and was, given to us by the Right Excellent Honorable Marcus Mosiah Garvey. So I just want you to go back and relive that experience, because it was very touching. It was very, very emotional. It actually kind of made me, as the man that I am, even well up with tears, because it was what we did was so historical that particular weekend, and just how dynamic you were in your presentation and just everything, and how you went about that entire weekend. Can you share with our viewing audience what it meant to be a part of such a historic event and historic weekend such as the 100 Years in the Whirlwind Conference?
Definitely. First, give a shout out to Brother Kuji Chakalia,
Yeah,
for putting it on. Yeah. So, making that happen, to get so many great African minds from around the globe together to honor Marcus Messiah Garvey, who there is a movie coming out about, and we're going to discuss on Thorough Black Talk right after this. But the philosophy and opinions of Marcus Messiah Garvey was required reading for the United African Movement. The foundation of UAM was the UNIA. We would end our weekly forums with an homage to Garvey and the ancestors. So right here, one of my favorite restaurants over there in Brother Ashe neighborhood is Marcus Garvey Boulevard. We love him here. He is everything. I've had grandparents who were part of UNIA. So that's always something special to me. Um, for someone to come in to the United States and amass such a quick movement, um, and an awakening, if you will, for our people at that critical time, because you have to remember, this is the beginning of Reconstruction. And you have these Black metropolises that are popping up all over, not just metropolises, but economic powerhouses around the world, I mean, around this country. And for him to jump right smack dab in the middle of that and to amass such a great movement is powerful within itself. But again, I have to employ everyone to understand the history behind UNIA. I have some rare documents that he wrote. I had got from the library, from the archives here in New York City, and some publications that he had written, which were phenomenal. And I come to find out that he was very reluctant to put out certain comments and information to the people, but it was his wives who he relied on heavily for that, and they gave him that, if you will. So if you ever get a chance, or anybody who's watching ever get a chance to come to New York City, I would ask you to visit the archives and sit and read some of that stuff. And if you can't understand what that man was trying to do at that time, you crazy. You crazy. And right now, today, we still can't get it popping the way that he did, without social media, without, if you will, streaming devices and things of that nature. He didn't have any of that, but he did have women. Black women in New York City and around the world did the legwork and the footwork. That's something else that I found out reading in those archives, things that the feds reported on. These women were instrumental in making sure UNIA flourished. So sometimes we look at figureheads and we just leave it at that. But once you understand and pull back the layers of what really happened, you can't help but to, grasp that, and you're like, wow, what I'm saying? I gotta, So it was definitely a profound moment. I learned so much from every presenter, that I viewed. And then after, went back and watched again, all of y'all. So I took bits and pieces and took my notes. I got a notebook over there, it's thick, because I was writing down for real. I'm a researcher for real. You can't just tell me any old thing and it's gonna fly. That don't rock with me. So, it was great to learn from our brothers and sisters around the globe, and to understand that we are not alone in this fight, that we have a common core, and we just got to move forward, full steam ahead, and stop being afraid, and let's do what must be done.
It was one of the pinnacle events that I have been a part of. It was historic weekend, and it was such an honor, like you said, to be on such a rostrum of just great African minds, brothers and sisters, and honoring the work and the excellence of the right excellent honorable Marcus Mosiah Garvey that particular weekend. But I definitely remember your presentation was powerful, and it was really from the heart. And I think that was really what made the weekend so great, is that everybody spoke passionately from their heart. It wasn't real, it wasn't fake, it wasn't phony, it was real. And, you were in a real situation with real Africans who really were influenced by the Honorable Marcus Mosiah Garvey, who were impacted by him, and at the same time loved him. And I think that is what made that weekend so beautiful. So it kind of like helped me to get to know you a little bit better. You know what I mean? Like, you know, if I didn't have an idea of Sister Keisha before the conference, I daggone sure have a good idea of who she is now, and which leads me to really ask you and talk to you about one of your great passions. Every Thursday night at 8 p.m. With you and Brother Tad and Brother Ashe and when Brother Blacksmith come together and present Thorough Black Talk, talk about the show, the beautiful chemistry that you all have, because it's such a beautiful chemistry that you all have, the love and respect that you have. You can feel it in the show. You know, you can feel it with every guest that you have on, every topic that you talk about. Once again, going back to the realness of the people that you're around and them speaking from their heart. You know what I mean? Them really, they really saying what it is that they feel, and at the same time saying it with clarity and giving you a real different perspective of things. You know, it makes me think in watching your show. But talk about Thorough Black Talk and share with the viewers, you know, the type of show that it is and where they can catch it, and you know. So just into that for a minute.
Thank you, and definitely appreciate those kind words. And I will definitely let my brothers know that. Um, yes, we're on every Thursday, 8 to 10 p.m. on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch. Um, we met at United African Movement. When I was asked to be the Masters of Ceremony for the weekly forums, I had gained the trust of Sister Leola Maddox and some of the elder brothers who were founding members of the United African Movement, who asked me to take over as Masters of Ceremony, and understood that I had a gift of connecting with our people generationally. And I asked them, you know, if you trust me, I will not only help this, because when they asked me to do that, the organization was pretty much dying down. You know, people were aging out, and you know, they didn't know how to connect with other generations, and so they asked me to do that. And you know, Systematic, she trusted my approach. I said, I'm going to invite some characters in here that you might not like, but my goal is to reach their audience so that their audience can know that there is an alternative. And so I think it was when I invited Sarah Sutanseti to come in and give a presentation, is when I met Brother Ashe. And he told me that after it was over, you know, he loved my powerful introduction and everything. And, you know, he wanted to work with me, and, you know, he had some ideas, and, you know, we had some conversations, and I told him to get started on everything he said. And I will be there to support you. And I will never let you down on that. And I haven't. You know, he started the Abibi Toomey Gun Club and things. And, you know, I've been in his corner ever since, you know. And then with Brother Tad, the same way. I put Brother Tad on the spot pretty much at a UAM forum. And I told him back then, you know, we're going to do some things together. You don't see it now, but I do. And so, you know, they both trusted me in that. And, you know, just the camaraderie, as you see that we have, that's just the Brooklyn in us. We are of a particular generation that understood that you have to be cohesive in order to make things work. So we do. Trust me, we have different opinions, different ideologies on certain things, but we are cohesive in our approach to get our people to be better, number one, and two, to propel us into the arena of economics and politics. And and in military science. You know, that's something that we don't like to discuss. Black people hate talking about politics and military science. However, it is both of those entities that control everything that you do. And I said that to a young person before, and they kind of, you know, was a bit standoffish about it, by that comment. And I said, well, I gave them the example. If it's 3 million Africans in New York City and only 36,000 police officers, why are you afraid to take them over?
Teach.
You understand? So, you know, you have to, it was that type of approach that got people together. You know, you would have a Mark Breland come in, you know, what's his name? Who's a boxer? His name escapes me. But anyway, they would come through. Everybody would come through, you know, just from my approach. I would have people who would come in from Philly, from Jersey. Yo, I heard about this Sister Keisha. Yo, she was on fire when she come on. My approach. I took speech writing classes and public speaking when I was in college and things of that nature. So, you know, it's all, we have to understand that even in our fight, we must be marketable to our people. And so, as Steve Coakley used to tell us all the time when we would see him, war ain't pretty. You're going to have to do things that may not make you be comfortable to you. You know, that's war. So I understood that approach. I took it on. And once I got the okay from my elders, okay from people like Mabel Williams, I got the okay from so many. I said, all right, I'm doing the right thing. Now watch me work. So anyway, it's that camaraderie that we have together. You know, I'm a little bit high strung. Tad is a little bit more mellow. Ashe is the young lion, you know, so we have that cohesiveness. And we also check each other in our approach without being disrespectful. And so people seem to like that. Yeah, so we have that approach with each other and a genuine love and respect for one another. We have come through a lot, the three of us, you know, in a short amount of time. And I ain't got time to tell our stories, but you wouldn't believe it. So, you know, that's just how we roll. That's just how we roll. So hopefully I'll get to come on again and we can really get into this political thing because
I wanted you to touch on some of the things that are going on in New York.
Yes.
I mean, if you could briefly talk about things, because I know that on the show, you know, you always are talking about things that you're organizing, things that you are, you know what I mean, going downtown and handling business, you know what I mean, on the side of African people. But can you touch on a little bit of what's going on? Because there were some interesting things you even talked about on last week's show on Throwback Talk.
Yeah, right now I'm in a process of getting on the community land trust committee because it's imperative that we be in these spaces because this is the only way to stop these gentrifiers. You have to be in these spaces. You have to give yay or nay, you know, who develops and build where you are. You need places for us. We need our own institutions. You got to be on these land trust committees to do that. So, you know, I'm getting my feet wet into that right now. Also, I've been asked by a legal team to join them in a class action lawsuit on behalf of African Americans who are being disenfranchised as far as voting is concerned, to allow non-citizens to vote allows them to form a voting bloc that will disenfranchise us. And it's already happening. In fact, these plans were put in place in 2015. So, you know, our people are just getting the news of it because mainstream media is talking about it now. And this is very, very problematic. When you have the Asian community who wants to take over, you have so many people, the Irish here in New York, you have the Latino community also who wants to take over. And I'm not talking Afro, I'm talking about white Latin folks who want to take over everything, and we just can't have that. Then I just sent the paperwork back. I have to give testimony on behalf of the brothers and sisters who fought in the Civil War. I am going to give personal testimony from my direct ancestor. It will be recorded, and then in the future, when you visit that museum, the African American Civil War Museum in DC, you will see those recordings. So this is historic because it also goes into the file of my ancestor, which is our direct connection to the reparations movement. So there's a lot on the table right now. So, you know, and then taking these law classes and everything is just driving me crazy.
yeah. You always, hey, you always are busy, and but it's a good busy. You know what I mean? Because it's helping to benefit you and empower you, but the empowerment of yourself is also the empowerment of our community and our people, and that's what I always love about you and everything like that. But I am not going to hold you long. Once again, how can the viewing audience plug into you and Thorough Black Talk? You know, and how can they, you know, get in touch with you, you know, outside of that as well?
Sure. Just shoot me a message on Instagram, Facebook, under Thorough Black Talk, or Sister K Fighter on Instagram. Because right now I'm in the middle of developing an animated series as well. So it's a lot going
I
on.
don't know nothing about that. Wow.
Yeah.
Talk about your animated series.
Yeah. So I don't know if you've seen the little skits that I've been putting out. So I've been putting out like 60-minute, 60-second skits and things like that.
On your page, yeah.
Right. So I got the artists and everything. So we've been working on some things. So we'll see how that goes. But that's further on down the line. You know, that takes a lot of development and things like that. So I'm just doing voice takes when I do those 60-minute or 60-second clips, just to develop certain character and voicing. So, you know, it's a lot. So anyway, I'm sorry, brother, but I really gotta go, and we gotta move over to Thorough Black Talk. So all of y'all who are watching, just follow us over to Thorough Black Talk.
Over to Thorough Black Talk.
There we go.
Brother Ashe, Brother Tad, Brother Blacksmith. We love you. And we'll be in touch soon.
Definitely. And I'll definitely be back whenever you need me, Brother Oba. I got you.
Hey, no problem. No problem.
All right, Black man.
All
be
right,
safe.
Now. A BB48, Black Power.
Black Power.
All right. There you have it. Our Sister Keisha Hopkins Forrester, aka K Fighter, Sister Keisha of Thorough Black Talk, our guest this week. And we're glad that you all could join us once again for another edition of the War Report. Once again, please support the War Report. Bottom of your ticker on Cash App at $OBAGOD7. $OBAGOD7, as well as support all the great programming right here on Do the Knowledge Radio, DTKR. Support at Cash App at $Knowledge Born Allah. Once again, that's $Knowledge Born Allah. And on PayPal, PayPal me, or should I say PayPal.me/Do the Knowledge Radio. Once again, that's PayPal.me/Do the Knowledge Radio. I want to thank my brother, Knowledge Born, who is, you know, busy, but he was able to make this happen tonight to allow for us to talk to our Sister Keisha. So I want to thank my brother. Thank the God for all of his work behind the scenes. And once again, we will be back next week, same time, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, for another edition of the War Report with yours truly, Oláyínká. Thank you for joining us. A BB48, a BB Tumi, Kujiti Wala, Odabo, Black Power.